as you can see here, we're trying something new. Welcome to the 2018 Greater Kansas City Officials Association volleyball season. And my name is Ken.corum. I'm the Vice President of Volleyball for GKCOA. So you know how we spend the first half of that very first meeting every year just kind of going over nuts and bolts and basics and general announcements and things that everybody kind of needs to know and we need to go over them and so forth. Well, what I'm hoping is that this video will take care of a lot of that. You can watch it on your own at your own leisure. Just make sure you have all the information down before coming to the first meeting on August 5th. So hopefully that way we don't have to waste any time on August 5th at the first meeting and we can just jump right into content. So that's the goal with this video. So yeah, this first one's going to be pretty cheesy, I think. I might not look directly in the camera. I've got little sticky notes on my laptop here that I'm using this to record. I'm in my office at home, so my dogs might bark in the middle of a taping. So we'll see how it goes. But again, the whole idea here is just to present some information and get it out to the masses. And if you have any questions, hopefully down below, you can click on my email address and any other resources I might have posted on this YouTube video. First things first, dates for our meetings this year. Now notice there's a couple differences this year than what we've had last year. In years past, we've had 5 face-to-face meetings. This year, we're only going to have 4 face-to-face meetings and probably 1 online meeting, very similar to what this video is all about. And the locations have changed. We're going to be meeting or splitting time between Winnetonka and Lee's Summit. We tried to get sites that are more centrally located to have more people show up. In years past, we've been at Truman or William Chrisman in Independence, which is kind of centrally located, but there's been some changes in policies and fee structures and so forth where we needed to move the location. So here are the dates for the fall meetings, starting with Sunday, and they're all going to be Sundays as usual. Sunday, August 5th. The first one will be at Winnetonka High School. We'll post more details about where to enter and where to park and all that kind of stuff later on. But we are going to do the same thing we did last year. Very, very popular amongst new officials that we had separate sessions for just new officials prior to the main meeting. So we're going to, our feedback was that was very positive, so we're going to keep that up. So for the first 3 meetings, the new officials will meet at 3:30 to 4:30, and then the regular meeting will happen after that from 4:30 to 6. We're going to be in the gym at Winnetonka for the first meeting on August 5th. Then August 12th, the next Sunday, we'll be at Lee's Summit High School. Again, hopefully somewhat more centrally located than having it in Blue Springs or at Staley, way north or way south. So August 12th, same times, 3:30 for new officials, 4:30 to 6 for all officials. We're going to skip a week. Our meeting number 3 will be Sunday, August 26th. That will also be at Lee's Summit High School. And again, 3:30 for new officials, 4:30 to 6 for all officials. And then we'll have a couple of weeks off. Once we get to that point, we're into matches and we're rolling. And on Sunday, September 16th, will be our last face-to-face meeting. That'll be at Winnetonka High School. There will not be a new officials portion, just the regular meeting, 4:30 to 6 at Winnetonka. That means that'd be the last face-to-face meeting. So we're going to do an online meeting of some sort, either like this, where it's recorded, or we might even do it live. We'll kind of see how that goes later on. But that'll be on Sunday, August 7th. We're not sure about the time and how that will work. If it's a live meeting, probably in the afternoon, same time. If it's taped, then we'll just post a video like this sometime that day. So those are the dates for the fall meetings and the times. And hopefully everybody can watch this video and then show up on August 5th ready to rock and roll. Here are some significant dates that you're going to need to make yourself aware of to put in your calendar if you haven't already. I've published these in emails previously, but just to make sure you're aware of all the events that are happening during the 2018 season. The biggest calendar notation is the fact that the season is actually 1 week later this year versus what it was last year. If you remember last year, the first practice was on July 31st, and for all fall sports, and there's a lot of folks who thought that was just a little too much too soon. So everything got pushed back a week. So that means the first day of practice is Monday, August 6th, which is again 1 week later than last year. The first possible matches you see there Friday, August 24th. The following Monday is the first freshman or middle school matches that are on the calendar, so you can kind of plan for those dates as far as matches starting. If you haven't been assigned to any or some matches yet, that's kind of when you can start planning on the fact that matches start then. And then you kind of see there when a lot of the MSHSAA stuff is due. The rules review needs to be done, the postseason application, as well as the Part 2 test. You see the dates there on when those items need to be done. And something that Dixie.ousley, who is the athletic director at Antioch Middle School, wanted to make note of, a big day for middle schools across the metro is Saturday, October 20th. That's when the season-ending tournaments for middle school are going to take place. And we need a lot of officials for those tournaments taking place across the city. So make sure you got Saturday, October 20th blocked out on your calendar there from other activities. And then you see the dates of when districts are, sectionals, and state. Notice state is a week later. Usually it's the last week of October, but now they pushed it to the first week of November with the 1 week pushback. And also what is not known yet is the exact date of when the district referees draft will take place. Usually that's sometime in mid to late September. We'll let you know as soon as we know. That way you'll know if you've signed up, which most of you should. All of you really should sign up for postseason because they assign not only referees or line, but they also assign line judges to postseason as well, and we need a lot of assistance there. So that hasn't been announced, that specific date on when that draft is, but that's the only thing that's kind of missing from this calendar. So hopefully you can pencil all these dates in and make sure you're aware of all the big events happening in the 2018 season. Just want to take a quick moment here to talk about the Greater Kansas City Officials Association in general and what it is that we do and why we exist. We work in partnership with MSHSAA. We're responsible mainly for training and assigning of volleyball officials in the Kansas City, Missouri area. We want to make sure that we, through meetings like this, develop officials, move them up the ladder, improve as an association, improve as individuals. But also that means that that's not automatically going to happen just because we offer summer training and we offer meetings like this and so forth. So there's some initiative that you've got to take as well to move up the ladder and improve as well. We also assist MSHSAA in making officials aware of deadlines and requirements that MSHSAA has, such as making sure that you get your registrations in on time, the fees for those registrations, reminders about when rules reviews are due, Part 2 tests are due, postseason forms are due, etc. So we work in partnership with MSHSAA to make sure those things are accomplished. Some people might not know that GKCOA is just not volleyball. It's two other sports as well. Football and basketball have divisions as well. And there's a board of directors that administers the entire association through all three sports. And our association is by far, counting all three sports, the largest in the state. And many, many people across the state, especially in volleyball, see the Kansas City referees as among the best in the state. We have very good representation in the postseason, very good representation at the state tournament every year, and get a lot of compliments, especially for those teams who come to Kansas City from out of Kansas City that play here. We get compliments every year wishing that the officials they have back home were just like what we have here. So we have a really good thing going with the Greater Kansas City Officials Association, and that's just a little bit about what we do. So some of you are brand new, some of you are new-ish, some of you have been around the block once or twice, but it's always good to either introduce or refresh your memories about who the leadership individuals are and who to go to for questions and so forth. So we're going to run that down for you now. It's nice to put some names and faces together. So here you go. I'm Ken. I'm the Vice President for Volleyball for the Greater Kansas City Officials Association. And first up is the President of the Greater Kansas City Officials Association, Scott Englert. He's a basketball official, but is heavily involved and interested in what we're doing here on the volleyball side. Next up, we have our assigners. These are the people who actually assign matches. So if you have questions about that, go to David Thompson. And there you see David. And our other assigner is Don Gard. And there you see Don. We have a board of directors with the GKCOA, and Dixie Westcott, who is an assistant principal at Winnetonka, is on that board of directors, as well as Cheryl Aston. And there you see Cheryl. She is actually the board of directors secretary. And the treasurer for the board of directors of GKCOA is Brian Verman. So you'll probably see all of these folks at many, if not all, of our volleyball meetings. All these folks, except for Scott, the president, are volleyball officials. So that is the leadership with GKCOA. Now, another group that is represented frequently, if not all the time, is our Missouri State High School Activities Association folks. We've got our MSHSAA Mechanics Clinician and Observer. This is Don Sleet. And Don is the person you go to when it comes to anything dealing with mechanics. He's the person in charge of MSHSAA Mechanics Clinics. Well, we'll talk about that here later in this video. He's also the observer for this area. So you might see him in the stands at some of your matches observing various officials at different levels. And then the other MSHSAA person is Dixie.ousley. She is the rules interpreter for the area. So any questions about rules, go to Dixie. And if she doesn't know, she will ask the leadership down in Columbia with MSHSAA on a rule interpretation if something weird happens in one of your matches. So she's the primary person. Most of the time, a lot of us can answer some of these questions, but there's some sticky ones that MSHSAA has to get involved with sometimes occasionally, and Dixie's the go-to person there. Now, with the Suburban Conference, this is a different entity. Mark Bubalo is the assigner for all Suburban Conference matches. He is the district activities director for the Blue Springs School District. So he is the one that's in charge of assigning any and all matches dealing with the Suburban Conference for varsity and JV. Freshmen and below are assigned by GKCOA, by David and Don, as we previously mentioned. And finally, someone else that is good to know, even though the club and college volleyball world isn't technically represented by GKCOA, we have a very nice partnership with college officials and club officials, some of whom work both college and high school and club as well. But Denise Jett is with USA Volleyball. She also referees high school as well and college. She is the Heart of America Region Officials Coordinator. So if you have a desire to work in the club world, which starts up immediately after high school is over with in November and December, and runs usually through about April. If you have a desire to improve in the high school off season, Denise is the person that you want to get in touch with. So those are all the folks that you'll see at most of our meetings, and those are the people that kind of keep things afloat and run the show here for our GKCOA officials. And just wanted to make sure you're aware of all those folks as we get started with another fantastic volleyball season. A couple of changes regarding meetings that we want to make sure everybody's on the same page about this year is that in years past, we have done two things regarding MSHSAA. One is we've usually had a face-to-face rules meeting where Dixie.ousley shows the video that you can get online that suffices as the rules meeting credit for the year. And we've done that in years past. This year, we will not be doing that. A couple of reasons there. One is that numbers for people who actually show up to that face-to-face online meeting have been dwindling. And also, that gets to be a really long day, adding that hour on top of our regular meetings and so forth. So we've had some feedback as to that's kind of a long day. And plus, really, you should be doing everything online on your own anyway. And so we're not going to have that option this year. So make sure that you are aware that we will not have a face-to-face rules meeting or online rules review as part of our GKCOA meetings this year. That will need to be done on your own, and you need to make sure that that gets accomplished there. If you have questions on how to do that, if your technology capabilities aren't that great, feel free to email me or any one of the leadership, or just any officials that you might know nearby that can help you get that accomplished on your own. Because remember, that will not happen in person this year. And then the other thing too is, historically we have gone over every single question in a meeting for the Part 2 exam. That will not happen this year. However, and partially it's just because of the way the dates of the meetings fall in relation to when the test is due. We're just not going to have a meeting right around the time the test is due, so it really is pointless for us to go over it after it's due, before you send it in. So what we will do, though, is we will hopefully have some time during one of our meetings, just a short section of one of our meetings, that will entertain any questions or issues you may have had with the Part 2 test. But we will not be going over, true, false, number one, number two, like we have had in years past. So just be aware that, again, professionalism, you should be taking care of that on your own anyway. And so we will not be doing a group testing Part 2 situation this year for volleyball. We really are excited about this year that's going to be new, and that's going to use some technology, is on Tuesday, August 21st. We are going to actually live stream the Jamboree from Winnetonka. The 4 North Kansas City schools will be playing there. And historically, we have said to especially new officials who've really never seen volleyball before, go to a Jamboree. Here are the Jamboree dates, and just go to one of these, and make sure that you call ahead, get in for free, and go watch a Jamboree just to make sure you have a clue about what a volleyball match looks like and what it all entails before you actually ref your first one. And then obviously there's a lot of officials who have experience, who just need a refresher on what it is that you're supposed to do, and how the warm-ups work, and how the coin flip works, and all the mechanics and protocols and so forth. So what we're going to do this year is, instead of asking you all to go to a Jamboree, which you can still do, by the way, we're going to take a Jamboree and bring it to you instead. So on Tuesday, August 21st, I believe the time is 6 o'clock, but we'll let you know. On this very YouTube channel, this GKCOA YouTube channel, we're going to live stream a Jamboree, and we're going to have play-by-play and color commentators. I will be the play-by-play person. Dixie.ousley and Don Sleet from MSHSAA, mechanics interpreter and rules interpreter, will be alongside, and we will comment on situations that happen during the match. And so we're hoping that it'll be very educational. We're hoping that you'll be able to tune in and kind of get a clue about what it is, what goes into a volleyball match, pre-game all the way through the post-game. And we may have some interviews of the actual officials during the match, and kind of see what it is that they were thinking and doing with various situations and so forth. And again, this is a learning situation. We're not trying to get the better of any officials or trying to show anybody up. This is for a complete learning situation. So we're excited about that. Tuesday, August 21st, probably about 5:30, 6 o'clock. Again, we'll let you know on the time for sure. But that's the evening that's been slated for our live GKCOA webcast. So look for that. I said I knew I'd screw some things up here before too long, so I forgot to add regarding the webcast that since it's going to be on YouTube, and most people know how to look up stuff and use YouTube, you, as long as you have a YouTube account, you will be able to actually comment on that YouTube page and ask questions of us live during the match. So if you see something that maybe we don't see, that you have a question about, or you're not sure why that call was made, or why that protocol was followed, or why the teams were doing that, and why wasn't that a net violation, or things like that, you can actually type in, and we should be able to respond to those questions live on the air. So not only will you be able to do it live in the air, but then we'll also archive it, and then you can look back at it later if necessary. So I forgot to add that as part of the upside of doing a webcast. The next item is MSHSAA mechanics meetings. Remember, if you're within your first 3 years of officiating as a MSHSAA volleyball official, you have to attend a mechanics meeting each of those first 3 years. There's two traditionally that Don Sleet runs, and those dates are Saturday, August 11th, and that's at Oak Park. And then the other one is Thursday, August 23rd. And this year, there's a change to the site on that one. It's at St. Joe Le Blonde. Historically, that's been at Lafayette, but this year, Thursday, August 23rd at St. Joseph Le Blonde. In order to sign up for those, you need to sign up in advance on the MSHSAA website. So when you log in as an official, there should be a link to go to mechanics meetings, and then on that link is where you sign up. So that way Don knows ahead of time how many people to expect at each of these clinics. So make sure you do that if you're within your first 3 years. And even if you're not, you can still attend and get some practice in. If you feel like you need to practice a little bit before you actually hit the court for real, those mechanics meetings are a great way to do that. So make sure you do that as well. Evaluating feedback from last year from you all, it seems like one of the most popular things that we do is the Sunday newsletter. Every Sunday throughout the season, we just put out a list of things. It's not pretty, it's just a big list. There's no pictures or anything like that. So we just kind of put out a list of things that either happened at the meeting that week, or situations, or just general announcements. And a lot of people seem to like that, the consistency that it's always on a Sunday. Although sometimes I get sidetracked and it comes out Monday, but most of the time it comes out on Sunday, and that way everybody's on the same page for that week about situations that come up, and any interpretations, rulings, announcements from MSHSAA or from GKCOA. So that will continue on Sunday nights. Hopefully I can get that out in the evenings, either after a meeting, or if we don't have a meeting that week, sometime that night. Season starts, one of my favorite things to do is to check the GKCOA DROPBOX, and we're going to have that again this year. The link for that is posted down below on this YouTube page. So that is essentially where if you have a question about something and just need an answer about a rules interpretation, or just something weird that happened, or you just want to share a story, that's the place to do it. And what will happen with that is I will either be able to answer it myself, or I'll take it right to Don or Dixie or other members of the leadership team, and we'll try and get that question answered for you. Usually those are taken care of at our Sunday night meetings, or if we don't happen to have a Sunday meeting that week, I will put it in the newsletter. So make sure you if you have a question, feel free to drop it in the Dropbox, and as the season goes along, we'll take care of all of those little issues that come up as the season goes on. Over the years since I've been vice president, I've really wanted you all to have an input in how we present programming, what it is that we emphasize from year to year, and so forth. And so that's why at the end of the last couple of seasons, I have issued a survey. And I really take those results into heart. I share those results with the leadership, and we just make our decisions primarily based on what you want. Um, and I publicly share everything that gets said. I don't filter anything out. If someone has a negative comment about me, I leave it in there because that's important to know, that the constructive criticism can make you better. So on one of the links down below is the link to the results of that survey. And I hope that you'll see that the things that we do this year and the emphasis points that we have this year, primarily with like videos like this and some of the different things we're trying this year, are a direct result of suggestions that you have made, not just about how we present things, but topics as well. We get a lot of our topics at every meeting based on the things that you say and the things that you want to see. The new thing that's happening this year is that we want to make sure that coaches, this may seem counterintuitive, but hopefully it'll end up being a positive thing in the long run. But I gave coaches all across Northwest Missouri the opportunity to give feedback on our strengths and weaknesses. Now, yes, some of these coaches are not members or not coaches of GKCOA schools, but hopefully the same sentiment can arise from what we've learned. And again, I have also attached a link down below on this YouTube page to that survey as well, in case you haven't seen that as well. I did send both of these out at the end of last school year when I compiled the results. And if you haven't seen them yet, feel free to take a look. And from a coach's standpoint, it's important for them to say that they have input as well on what it is that they're seeing, because we can only get better from general trends that they're seeing as well. And so it also, I think, helps the game in general if we all work together. Historically, coaches and officials have been going at each other like dogs and cats over the years, and we don't want that. We want to work together to make the game better and ultimately make volleyball a better sport for the players, because that's what it's all about, is the kids and the teams and the schools. It's not about officials, it's not about coaches, it's about those kids. And we want to do everything we can to make sure that relationship is good, and it makes the matches go more smoothly, and it makes the experience a lot more positive for the players. So that's why I have reached out to the coaches to get their input. And hopefully now that they've had a chance to express their opinions, we'll see if that does anything over time with regards to our overall relationship. So bottom line is that I'm gathering opinions from a lot of different people, including you, to make sure that you know that a lot of what we do every year and every meeting is a result of what it is that you want to see. For those of you who care about this sort of thing, because I know some of you, it doesn't matter who the two teams are, you just show up and ref your match, but for some of you who care, these are the new conference alignments for the Suburban Conference. And so those of you who have worked Suburban Conference in the past know that GKCOA does not assign the varsity and JV for these schools. It's Mark Bubalo is the assigner for these matches. But some of you are kind of curious because they're starting new alignments this year. There are 4 conferences: the gold, the red, the white, and the blue. The biggest addition, Grain Valley and Smithville, have come over new into the conference from other conferences, and they're in the lower tier, blue tier. The conferences are determined by enrollment, so the largest schools are in the gold and the smallest schools are in the blue. Of note, all the gold schools are the same, except they've gone from 7 down to 6. The 7th school that got dropped down to the red is Lee Summit. In the red division, also, Staley is new. They were in the white, and they've moved up to the red now. So the red has 7 teams. The gold has 6 teams. The white has 7 teams, and the significant changes there. Raytown was in the red. Now they're down to the white. And Belton was in the blue, and now they're up to the white. So those 7 teams. And then the blue had 6 last year, and now they're going to 7 this year. So Grain Valley and Smithville have added on to the existing 5 schools listed there. So if in case you're curious about how that all worked, there are the divisions and alignments for the Suburban Conference for the next 2 years. Just want to make sure everyone was aware of the pay scale for this year. For the most part, it hasn't changed at the varsity level. Varsity JV officials on a given night will get $83 per night. But where it has changed is in the 8th grade and 9th grade levels. If you notice that on this chart here that I'm showing, that the freshman matches, if you have an A and a B, that has increased $5 up to $75. And if there's only an A match, one match, that's up $250 up to $47.50. And unfortunately, the way numbers are across the metro, we're finding more and more schools canceling their B games and only having an A game on a lot of given nights. So we're seeing that trend happening with numbers quite frequently now, just so you're aware. The 8th grade fees have also increased by a few bucks. 8th grade A and B is up $250 up to $67.50 a night. And again, if there's just an A match, it's $45 up from $42.50 in years past. So just wanted to make sure you were all aware of the game fees in case that's a concern or something you weren't aware of. As long as we're talking about the Suburban Conference, there is one thing I kind of want to address. The Suburban Conference several years ago has asked the GKCOA to provide line judges for varsity matches. And if you don't know how that works, typically what will happen on a general given night is that there'll be a varsity JV doubleheader that 2 officials, first referee and second referee, get assigned by Mark Bubalo. And those 2 will work as R1, R2 for those matches. At the same time, typically there'll be a freshman match in maybe an adjacent gym or somewhere nearby where those 2 same schools are playing, and GKCOA assigns 2 officials to work either that single A match or there's an AB doubleheader sometimes. And ideally what happens is it usually times out right where that freshman match gets done. The 2 GKCOA officials come over to the varsity match in time to line judge that match. And so typically that's how it works. Now sometimes some schools will provide their own line judges to faculty, and so those arrangements usually have already been made, and the Suburban Conference and the GKCOA know exactly who those schools are that do that. But for the most part, it times out right where the 2 freshman officials come over and line judge the varsity. Sometimes line judges are just assigned a lone line judging assignment all by itself without a freshman match if there isn't one going on that night, or if the timing doesn't work out right. If there's an A and a B match, usually those 2 matches will last about the same length as a JV varsity doubleheader, so the timing won't work out. So sometimes we'll assign just line judges only. So what I wanted to say about that is, for the most part, since the Suburban Conference has requested that of us, the ADs and the coaches want GKCOA to provide that role, it's gone very well for the most part. It seems like more and more, though, there's a few more people every year who either are upset about that assignment or complain about the low pay, or are just not satisfied with that scenario. And we're hoping that situation is because of maybe poor communication on our parts by outlining what the purpose of doing that is. Again, this is a request that has been made of the Suburban Conference of us, and if that's going to be made of us, we want to do as an association the best possible job that we can, and we want to put the best possible attitudes out there and the best possible situations, because the way we look at it is it's a great learning situation. If you're someone who's not working JV varsity ball, you're just working middle school or 9th grade ball, we want, first of all, for you to have exposure to that level of ball by line judging, so you can see how fast the pace is, what gets called, what doesn't get called, and so forth, to incorporate into your game when you do go back and officiate your middle school and freshman games. And also, since you're getting exposure to that level, you're getting exposure to those coaches, you're getting exposure to higher level officials and so forth, so you can put your best foot forward so that someday you will be on the stand or you'll be the R2 for those JV and varsity matches. So that's the purpose, that's the goal. That's what we're trying to accomplish with line judging at Suburban Conference varsity games. Some people look at it as a punishment. Some people look at it as low pay, and that's they don't want to leave the house for the pay that they get. And we're hoping that from a professionalism standpoint that you don't look at it like that. We're looking at it because it's been requested of us, and we want to do the best job that we can as an association. And we look at it as an opportunity for growth. Not only can you see the better volleyball that's out there, but hopefully you can also see some of the better officiating out there. And we want to make sure that you aspire to be to improve by just being exposed to that situation. So hopefully that clears things up, and hopefully this season we'll have the best year yet of line judging. For those of you who don't have uniforms or any officiating supplies yet, the usual place where most people get their official supplies is at Get Official. It's an online business as well as an in-person business. If you happen to be around North Kansas City area, that's where their office is located, and you can look that address up on getofficial.com, www.getofficial.com. John is the person in charge there, and what he's going to do is, if you order now before August 5th, and if you either call Connie, who is the administrative assistant there, at this phone number, 816-880-5390, or you place an order on getofficial.com, John is planning on being at our first meeting to sell any supplies that you may need. So make sure you bring some cash, or he actually will accept credit and debit cards that night as well at Winnetonka on August 5th. So if you want to get your supplies, because some of those supplies need to be ordered, he won't have everything available right then and there. So if you want to order ahead, he will bring your order to the meeting on August 5th. That's a really convenient thing that he does. So again, make sure that you place your order ahead of time. Now, one thing of note, on the website, there will be, it will show that there's a shipping charge on there. Go ahead and accept the shipping charge, but then as soon as it's received, they will take it off. So that's what I was told to tell you all about the online shipping charge. It might just be easier just to call if you don't want to mess with the website, but you can look at the website to see what they have and go from there. So getofficial.com is the place to go. John is his name. He'll be there on August 5th if you just want to show up and see what he's got, or if you want to order ahead, he will deliver it to you on August 5th. All right, so I know that ended up being about a 30-40 minute video there, but hopefully, again, as I said at the top, what that means is that's 30 or 40 less minutes that we'll spend at the first meeting going over this stuff. So hopefully we can hit the ground running, get right into content. Hopefully everybody shows up on that first night. Again, August 5th at Winnetonka. New officials at 3:30, all officials at 4:30 to 6. And we'll be in the gym at Winnetonka. We'll have some further directions coming out about where to park and what doors we're going to go in and what we're going to do that night. And we hope to see everybody there. Again, Sunday, August 5th, 3:30 new officials, 4:30 everybody. It'll be great to see everybody. And we're so excited to start the 2018 season. And we look forward to seeing you there.